When you talk of exposure, I'm one of those people where I did my research that I have to be very matter of fact was the Miami-Dade, where I'm giving this lecture at the main library downtown. You know, for 60 cents, I could hop on the bus, go to the library, and I had my CD player then. And one of the exciting things was I got to listen to some of these incredible artists at the main library downtown. As long as I brought my CD player, I can like pop it open, listen to a few things. Where am I going with this? They had a whole performing arts wing that was dedicated to ballet, theater, opera. They had an opera score section where you could go into, that's where I started learning about repertoire. I learned about Marian Anderson from our Miami-Dade County Public Library downtown. I have to name drop. There's this really special woman. I don't know her last name, but she was a librarian named Dorothy. Dorothy actually was a graduate of Boston Conservatory. And she was the head librarian for the performing arts section when they once had it at the Miami-Dade County Public Library. And when I was on this discovery, she said, you need to hear this woman, you need to hear this, check this out. And if you're considering songs, you're a beginner, right? You should consider the 24 Italian art songs, which is I call it the ABCs of vocal repertoire for every budding classical artist. And I told her I wanted to learn German Lieder. And she gave me the Art of Lieder CD. And it had Fritz Wunderlich, Elizabeth Shopstikov, Fischer Dieskau, Jesse Norman. And I was like, when I heard this, I was like, this is home. And I never knew German could be so beautiful. So within this, I started learning about history, because then I wanted to know, okay, so if you sing like this and there's no orchestra and this isn't in costumes, what do you do? So I got a chance to they had a VHS that you can take home, and I got to see some recitals. And then I understood, oh, so you got to stand tall and stand at the crook of the piano, and I would imitate how I would see, Leontine Price walk to the piano, or Pavarotti walk to the piano, and I learned the art of the recital by visual. And what that did for me is, in presenting myself in real life, I understood that you have to stand tall and deliver whatever you have to say or do. I learned languages. I learned the nuances of communication, of interpersonal reactions, and how to, interact in this way. The other thing that is beautiful that you can learn from the performing arts is a fun way of learning history. Because one of the things that's really fun is not only do you get to explore the historical context, but then you start learning things that the Germans in Austria speak differently from the Germans in Germany. And there's a difference in dialect. Neapolitan Italian is different from this. Castellan is different from, from the traditional Spanish. So you start learning the nuances of language and style. So it creates this incredible understanding of worldliness. And recently, when I say recently, I'm saying within the last 5 years, I began to explore other things too. I started this quest of finding me in the classic arts. And when I say me, I mean my culture, our history, those of us who are of African descent. Globally, and you start seeing characters like Le Chevalier de Saint Georges, and you're like, there's a composer of African descent in the court of Marie Antoinette. Then you start realizing that there are composers in Cuba and Haiti that were composing the same time as Beethoven, or that there is a whole tradition of liturgical music in the South Americas that is from the 1500s, and that there's Baroque South American music that is legitimately classical, that's being composed around the time of Bach and Monteverdi. What? And so what we begin to conceive as classical music becomes that. So even within this, so yes, art can add beauty to your life. But it also pushes you to, if you're really invested in becoming a better artist, you find yourself reading a lot, you find yourself delving into because sometimes if I get stuck on concert curation, I'll look at something that is not my art form. I'll go into the Rubel collection and look at how they curate certain things to have a better understanding of how I can develop textual curation even in my music. Because as one, I'm not speaking purely lingo, but as one understands art, you understand that there are certain guiding principles that are universal in every art form. There is, we're all looking for balance. We're all looking for beauty. We're all looking for line, and we're all looking for a freedom of communication, and where whoever is viewing the art has a clear understanding of what the given artist is trying to convey. We all look for that as artists. It's like a universal thing. How we do it is where the nuance, and it really depends on the individual, but it teaches all of these things that makes you a better human being, a more conscious human being. It teaches emotional intelligence. It teaches an awareness, because there's certain times as a performing artist that you get into this space of complete awareness. And being a person who is of a sober lifestyle, I would imagine that there are people who long for this kind of experience of euphoria that is just organic. It is you as a human being striving to your highest delivery point. Maybe athletes experience this, I'm not sure. But it's reaching that point of total awareness where everyone around you understands, and what you give is immediately accepted, and there's a cycle of communication between you and the audience. It's almost a freedom, so to speak, that I'm speaking of freedom of that is, and I think even if you walk away from the art world, it follows you to the law office, it follows you to the store, it follows you to a party, it follows you with you, that freedom of being. I think that's what the arts gives you, and the beauty and appreciation of being, because you can stop and see a sunlight and be like, wow, that would be a great picture. Or you hear birds chirping and it reminds you of your favorite chamber piece, or it lives with you, so to speak, or you buy your favorite painting that when you were in France traveling, because it gives you something every time you see it. So it's this kind of interaction of being alive.